Pera. I am the founder of the Mindful Habit System. And in this micro lesson, I want to talk about the part of us men, us being men who struggle with honesty, who struggle with compulsive sexual behavior, who struggle with intimacy in their relationships. I did an exercise last week, and every week as part of the group program, we do a mindfulness training. And that's a guided meditation where we use the powers of the suggestive powers of the mind to explore subconscious belief systems, to explore unhealthy programming, to explore the parts of us that are in conflict. And so what we call those parts are sub personalities, not split personalities, sub personalities. If you're listening to this, I highly recommend you learn what sub personalities are. And you can learn a lot about this through the Internal Family Systems Model, IFS. So the part that I want to focus on today is the part that feels small, insignificant, like a little child, the part that feels controlled. So here's the dynamic, okay? You, as a sex addict or porn addict, had a secret life. And that secret life was maybe pornography, maybe it was escorts, maybe it was camming, whatever it was. You had these secrets. You knew to keep these secrets. And what typically happens is you get caught. You get caught. And so what happens when you get caught? You feel, and listen, you want to make it right. You want to do the right things. You're not trying to hurt anybody. You want to do the right thing, but there is this part of you that feels resentment, that feels insignificant, that feels like you're being controlled, that is projecting onto your wife. And do you know who the overwhelming majority of men, hey Rob, that I've worked with, 10 out of 10 of these guys are projecting authority onto their wives. They feel like they are in the one down position. There's a power dynamic in their relationship, and they feel like they are in the one down. There's already a self-esteem issue. The self-esteem issue drove the numbing, coping, and escaping. Now they've been caught. Now listen, us guys, we do a terrible job of being proactive in getting our needs met. So what do? We stuff it down. Now I want you to think of the justifications that you used for your behavior. And I really want you to, and listen, I know you love your wife. I know you love your partner. I know you want to make this right, okay? This doesn't mean that's not true. However, like 10 out of 10 men are projecting authority onto their partners. They feel like they're the one down in the power dynamic. 9 out of 10, they are projecting mother. Brother, nobody likes to be controlled. Nobody likes to be told what to do. No one likes to have to tell their partner, I'm coming home at this time. I watched this. I didn't watch that. Oh, I screwed up again. Right? So there's this power dynamic in your relationship that you have to be aware of. You have to be aware of that low self-esteem part of you that feels small, that feels insignificant, that feels less than, that feels the one down in the power dynamic, and the part that is projecting authority and most likely mother onto your partner. And what are you projecting? Resentment. A deep internalized resentment. And if you happen to be watching this live and you know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat. Do you feel you're an equal in your relationship, that your needs, wants, drive, desires are on equal footing with your partner? Brothers, it's a meme. It's a trope. It's a joke. Happy life, happy wife. Whatever you want, dear. That is no way to live. And it's no way to live because you have needs, wants, drives, and desires, and they are in a relationship, both people's. They're on par with each other, and we have done things that put us in that one down power dynamic. So I want to acknowledge that. Right? We've done behaviors that cause them not to trust us, that make it so we have to check in, that we have to make them feel safe. And there's a really powerful way to, well, first of all, in your parts work with your therapist, meditating, thinking about, feeling the energy, right? That part that feels resentful, what happens, right? What triggers that part into existence? So pay attention to your habit cycle around that resentful part. Pay attention to the needs that part is meaning that part is trying to protect you. That part wants you to be in control, to exercise autonomy, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, an inalienable right, yet we feel small and insignificant. We feel like we're being controlled. And I remember loathing the reality that I had to check in and tell my wife where I was going, what I was doing. I was so untrustful. I go to the supermarket without having to take a picture. I got my phone up here. Take a picture with the bar timer in the background. I'd have to park in a way so I could capture the front of the building and capture the time on the dashboard to prove that I was where I said I was going to be, because I couldn't be trusted, because I was a pathological liar. And so I resented that. I stuffed that down. And in the early stages, that ultimately justified my behavior, the reward. I allowed that part to take over. And so here, listen, there's a lot of work that goes on with that part. A lot to unpack, a lot to appreciate that power dynamic. And if anybody has any questions, let me know in the chat. And for some of you, the concept of parts work is brand new. For some of you, the concept of subpersonalities is brand new. Listen, if you don't know what they are, you got to learn. You got to learn. Here's an article if you're able to access this in the chat. Click on that link if you can access that link. It is a very important concept because, listen, I loved my wife. I wanted to make her feel safe. I wanted to repair the damage that I had done. And there was a part of me that resented being controlled. There was a part of me felt like a little bitch who now had to tell his wife everywhere he left the goddamn house because he's a piece of shit. And that's what pieces of shit have to do. So you have to, so you gotta, and listen, who was I projecting? A mommy. I was projecting mother, controlling me, telling me what to do. And that projection of control and resentment, did that have any impact on the compulsive behavior? What do you think? Do you think that fueled the compulsive behavior? Do you think that accelerated it? That contributed to it? Absolutely, it did, in a very, very strong, powerful way. So the concept of subpersonalities and even a more structured view of our parts is the internal family systems model. We do a lot of parts work in the program. It is very important that you learn to nurture, honor, respect, protect, and love your addict part, your angry part, your liar part, your small, insignificant part, the projection of resentment part, and those are negative ones. And that's just a kind of a high level overview. So the parts work allows you to examine these parts of you that seemingly appear in conflict. And they are in conflict, but you can resolve that conflict. You can resolve that conflict by understanding, hey, what is this resentful part of me trying to accomplish? Right? You can ask these negative parts a series of really great questions. What job is this part doing? Every part of you has a job. What job is this part doing? What job would this part rather do instead? So let's look at resentment as an example. Resentment part is trying to make sure that my rights are being protected, that I'm not being controlled, that I'm not being micromanaged like my old boss and my mother used to do, and now my wife, because of all the terrible things that I have done. This part is trying to grasp a shred of dignity and self-esteem and autonomy. And he wants to make sure I have fun. I work hard. I deserve to have some fun every once in a while. So he's going to project resentment onto the person who's robbing me of that fun. And here's the shift. The shift that is, you go from resenting the reality that you have to make your wife feel safe and tell her what you're doing and showing what you're looking at and handing her the phone. You go from that to, I want to protect her. I want to make her feel safe. I acknowledge the damage that I have done. And now I'm going to take a source of pride. I'm not controlled. No one's controlling me. This is my choice. I am a man. I have autonomy. I can do whatever I want. And I am choosing this. I am protecting her. And you pay really careful attention to whenever that resentment energy awakens, because here's the beauty of the parts work. It gives you a framework. It gives you a process to manage, nurture, honor, respect, protect, and love those parts, even the negative ones. There's a great book by Dr. Richard Schwartz called No Bad Parts. Put that high up on your list. Another book, I just happen to be in book sharing mode, so I got it next to me, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Very important chapter on identity in this book, how you identify and the harms of identifying as a sex addict. Identifying yourself as the negative. So doesn't mention sex addiction in the book, but I think it's a very, very important chapter. So I invite you to check it out. Last thing I want to say is this part of you will be awakened. You will experience resentment. You will feel like you're in the one down power dynamic. And by getting to know these parts, what you develop is a process. Here's what I'm going to do, not if, but when this part is awakened. And here's how I'm going to, me, autonomous, secure, confident, a man, here's how I'm going to proactively meet the needs of this part of me, which is critical because you know the golden rule of behavior modification. It is to break a habit, not break a habit, make a habit. You heard me say that in some of my earlier podcasts. My thinking has evolved. To break a habit, you have to make the right habit that meets the right need. Remember that. I will see you on my next stream. Peace and love, brothers and sisters, who's ever watching, and wish you the best. I got a client call now, so I'm off. Bye, everybody. If you need more help, visit the website, www.themindfulhabit.com. Later, Rob. Peace and love, my man. See you guys.